Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, where we go across country and travel the world with members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Let's go. Hey, everybody, welcome. You know, every third Monday, we get to chat with travel writers from the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. So we get to go and find out about all these amazing experiences across the country and around the world. And today we're going to welcome back Janice Sakata-Schultze. She's a travel writer. She's a photographer, a blogger, and also a certified travel advisor. And that's what she's going to talk about a little bit today. She went on a cruise where she was learning all about cruising. Well, she knows about cruising, but she went on a Southern Caribbean cruise with Virgin Voyages. So we're going to hear about Virgin Voyages, what makes them different from other cruise lines. And of course, we want to hear about the rum that she drank. We want to hear about the excursions with waterfalls and cycling, beaches, gardens, food, all that good stuff that she enjoyed in Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua, Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, and Guadeloupe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So every time she comes on the show, she teaches me how to pronounce something, and that includes her website. So you can go there. There's links in the episode notes to her blogs about this experience or her many experiences. It's sanseitraveler.com. So it's SANSEI. So welcome back, Janice. How are you?
Oh, very good. Thanks for having me.
Is it Guadeloupe? Guadeloupe?
It's Guadeloupe. That's how
Guadeloupe.
I learned how to pronounce it. So you were not far off at all.
Okay, getting there. I just have my own language. I think I'm just going to call it Elisaism on everything, so I don't get in trouble. But it's interesting because when you travel, a lot of names can be a culmination of different languages, and the way you speak French in Louisiana is going to, and I know we're going to talk about Louisiana, and the way you speak French in France might be a little bit different, just in accents, So
Exactly. Yeah.
that can happen. But yeah, tell us about this cruise, because you were meeting with cruise planners, right?
Yes, and that's the travel agency I work for, or actually I have a franchise through them, and it was a sales seminar that I was part of, being on this cruise to the Southern Caribbean. It began in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And then went to, as you were, all the islands that you were mentioning, went to the British Virgin Islands, to Barbados, to Guadeloupe, to
I was going to say Guadeloupe. Yeah.
Yeah. And to, let's see, what was the last one that we went to? I think was, I think. I'm trying to remember, because they were like,
yeah, you had
all sort of all bunched together.
Yeah, well, you had
St.
Lucia, Antigua, yeah, and the articles are linked up in the episode notes, everyone. But yeah, you went all over. So for a business meeting, that's not a bad way to go.
No, not bad at all. I mean, the seminar consisted of I think just 2 days, meaning there was one day at sea and then half a day where we were on board, and then we got to go to the destination, because that's when we arrived on the island. I think it was Barbados, actually, where we did that.
So going with Virgin Voyages, this was your second time, right, with them, and you're saying that they're pretty different.
Actually, it was my third cruise with them.
Okay.
I'd taken shorter cruises, 4-day, 4-night and 5-night cruises with them. This was a 7-night cruise, obviously, because it covered a lot of ground. The other ones that I went on went to Costa Maya and Cozumel, and also to their private island or private resort on Bimini in the Bahamas. It's called the Beach Club. And the second cruise that I took with them was just to Key West and to Bimini. So, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, did you go to Necker Island to go see, Richard Branson?
No, we did not get an invite there. Sorry.
Well, you know what? One of my favorite books, I love biographies and memoirs, right? Especially anyone who's in our industry, because you never really hear what's behind starting a magazine, and he was really heavy in music and being a magazine publisher when he was in his late teens. I think he was 19 or 20, maybe 21. And he went in, and his book is called Losing My Virginity. And I didn't make the name up, man, but
No, but
he,
that kind of sounds like something he would come up with.
exactly. And I think he's awesome. Like when you look at all these, billionaires and everything, I'm gonna go, he's one of the ones I would hang out with, honestly. Looks like fun and
Hmm.
you can learn a lot. But he went and got his loan from a bank by walking in barefoot in jeans and got a loan for a magazine, which I thought was pretty amazing. But look at how it's
Exactly.
gone into, you got into music, airlines and now cruise ships too. So I
Hmm.
had to think that music was part of this experience. They had to have music somewhere on board or playing, right?
Do. Yeah. And actually, his suites on board the ships are called Rockstar, or I mean, a couple of them are called Rockstar suites, and some of
Nice.
them have, I think they have records, like gold record replicas that are on
Yeah,
the walls and guitars that you can play, basically. So it's, yeah, definitely
that's
keeping
my
with
style.
rock and roll theme. And,
Yeah.
I just, actually wanted to say about Virgin Voyages, it's, I would say, the disruptor of the cruise
Mm.
industry. I think that Branson really wanted to do something that was different. And it's interesting because they don't really call their cruise itineraries cruises. They call them voyages, like their name, Virgin Voyages. It's not Virgin Cruises. And so I think he deliberately wanted to do something that was very different. That was, very different from a lot of what the other cruise lines have done or are doing. So,
That makes sense with him. I mean, he's
mhm,
always going to do so. He's never going to be with the pack. He wants to
exactly.
lead and do
Yeah,
something different. I mean, he's one of the best masters of PR stunts in on the planet. He really, yeah, yeah,
I
that's cool
agree.
though. That is so
Yeah,
cool. That
yeah.
like I want the rock star room. I want that.
Oh, heck, I would have wanted
Yeah,
that too.
I know. I know. So,
So,
yeah, I wonder if he's
but
going to
yeah,
do
he
any
he
like
calls it.
voyages with musicians on board. That would be sweet.
Yeah, no, and he actually calls doesn't call the cruise passenger voyage passengers. He doesn't call them passengers or guests. They are called sailors. And so
Oh,
that's, just another I think that they
just
thing that
different.
they like to do differently on board Virgin Voyages. So
So you have excursions with there. Obviously, you're going to get good food and what is this $300 bar tab that you get as soon as you get on board, and then it can be upgraded? Like,
yeah, now the 300, it's a bar tab, and so you use and it usually is in $300 increments. And so if you wanted to, you can get two of them and have $600 worth of drinks on board. But that is just one way where you don't have to, worry about what you are paying for. It would be the alcoholic beverages mostly on
mm,
board the ship. And so you could use that for any cocktails or any
mm,
I guess well drinks or liquor that you would like to have
mhm.
straight, wine, beer, and you can do this very unique thing. Another fun, unique thing that they have on board is something that's called Shake for Champagne. And what you do is you take your app, your Virgin Voyages app, hit it on a certain window, shake your phone, and wherever you are on the ship, you can get a bottle of champagne. So
And that goes on your bar tab, or is that
it does
included?
go on the bar tab. Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
wanted to
part.
make sure, just so
Yeah.
people don't go on there
No,
and
not
like
everyone gets
Janice
that
said
for
that every
free.
time I shake my phone, I'm going to get a free bottle of
All
champagne.
right, no.
That's
No,
starting
it
to
it,
sound
it
really good to me, though. That's like shake for champagne.
shake
Well,
for
this is starting
champagne.
to sound fun. Do you think it's
Yeah.
because of, when you think about the cruise industry, it used to be for retirees at one point. It was very, and I think the Caribbean and the Bahamas and all of that started being more of families and the younger generation. But
Mm-hmm.
now our travelers, when you look at statistics of what travelers want, they want really cool experiences no matter what the age. And we also have a lot of multi-generational travelers, right? So do you think
Right.
he was looking at that and the company going, we need to do experience more than the same kind of, I mean, it's like bed and breakfast, don't do all the little doilies everywhere that catch
Mm-hmm.
dust anymore. They've had to vamp up for a different age group and mindset.
I think well, another thing that does make Virgin different is that it is an adults only cruise. So only guests
Mm,
or sailors who are 18 and over are allowed on
nice,
board. No children, not
nice.
even 17 or
Not being
16
mean.
year olds.
I'm just saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
So I think if he was going to, try to do something that was going to, I think, appeal to like maybe a family that has older children or something. I think that's actually something that they wanted to do a few months ago. They actually had a promotion where they said you can bring your adult children on board. And so
Mm,
obviously that meant anyone, who had children 18 or
mm,
older. And I think there was like a half price fare, for it.
mm.
So, but I do
Cool.
think that he really wanted to try to um, aim for experiences and ones that were kind of more fun oriented, I suppose, ones that,
Hmm.
were not the typical, as I, have said before, something that's typical for a cruise line. You didn't want to have a lot of, you didn't want to have, obviously have shuffleboard or a lot of, um, the typical games that you would find. I mean, you do have them. You have trivia, you have bingo, but you have it with that Virgin twist. So for
Mm,
instance, you have bingo, but it's with one of the what's called the happenings cast, which is like 12 um, people on board who kind of make the ship fun. I mean, they lead the activities and they are
mm.
around to just have people kind of get more engaged on board. And so one of the members of the happenings cast is the diva, and so you have the diva bingo, and so
The queen,
you know
she's the drag queen, right? So
the drag queen,
she's like the
exactly,
greeter,
right.
right? She's like,
Yep,
welcome aboard. Yeah, that is
exactly. Yeah.
awesome. That is
So
fun.
so yeah, it is a lot of fun and obviously something that you're not going to find on other cruise lines. So
That is cool. That's like
mhm.
now I want champagne brunch with a diva,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
That
So
would be
yeah,
fun.
so the excursions that you do, so they are helping you with that, but then some of the places you went, you did your own thing as well. So that you could kind of make a choice. And I'm with you. You were writing about it in one of your blogs that you were saying,
Mhm,
hire a taxi, go beyond it's true. Everywhere I've been where the cruise ships come in, it's
mhm.
like it's a total tourist trap. And I'm not trying to be anti-travelers, but sometimes go beyond that. I mean, if that's what you want to
Yeah.
do, fine. But you get these other experiences
Mhm.
beyond if you go beyond the town. You just have to be back on time, which we didn't do when we
Yes.
went to the Bahamas. We almost lost our cruise ship because we
Oh
had Bahama
no.
Mamas, and well, there was
Oh yeah,
a
that's
really cool
dangerous.
steel drum playing, and that we found we did it. Yeah, we were bad. We went out of the city like you were saying, and
Hmm,
ended up
hmm.
this rainstorm came, because it does over there. It's tropical, and we ended up in this kind of, it was very local. This was not
Hmm.
tourist trap, little place, little kind of bar sheddy kind of thing. And we went in there and had Bahama Mamas, and these were not the kind that you got on the ship. This was like, so the
Boozy.
guy is like, he's like telling us to take a sip, a big sip, swallow
Hmm.
it, put our head down and shake our heads, and then sit back up and then do it again. By the time we were done, like, I don't know how we got back to the little town that we were in. And I don't know how we got back on the cruise ship because we almost
Um,
lost it.
very carefully.
All I know is be careful. And I won't say what I
Yeah.
did. I bought some outfit and I put the legs on my arms. So anyway, I don't know what was going on. All I know is be careful with the
Yes,
Bahamas.
absolutely. Yeah, we actually did something like that in the Bahamas, or no, I'm sorry, not the Bahamas, but Barbados. And we took a taxi, went to a beach and just hung out on the beach. And then we also went into Bridgetown, which I have to say we probably didn't go to the most exciting parts of Bridgetown. And
Mm.
so we then headed back to the ship. But yeah, sometimes that's the most fun thing that you can do on a cruise. Although I do have to say that on Virgin Voyages shore excursions, which again they have their own term for it called shore things.
Oh, makes
um,
sense.
they
Yeah.
actually curated some really really good activities for us to do. And so one of them was, let's see, we went on in St. Lucia, went on it was a Jeep tour that we took a little bit around on the island, but then we ended up in, I think the town was called St. Anse, I think. I'm not 100% certain, but it was a place where
You can have your own language too.
yeah, I am in this case actually. But we went then on a bike tour
That's cool.
through the town, which wasn't a lot, of course, but then we went into this more jungle rural area with a dirt road, and then stopped at a place where we did a really short hike. I would say it was about a quarter mile to a waterfall, and that was a lot of fun. I did not bring the right clothes for it, so I didn't get to do what everyone else did and jump into the pools and go under the waterfall, but I did take some great pictures. So
that's important.
so,
As long as you had rum at the end, right?
oh yeah, definitely. So that was probably one of the more fun excursions that we did, and we did get to see probably a side of St. Lucia that a lot of people don't get to see. And so I would say another great shore excursion that we did was go to, it was in Antigua in St. John's, in their main town, and we did get to do a rum tasting there, a dedicated rum tasting, and learned about the history of rum, learned about different kinds of rum, and had a authentic Caribbean meal. And so that was great that we did that as well.
So the history, because I know even when you were in Puerto Rico, you went to the National Monument that is part of our U.S. National Park system too. So it seemed that you also learned a lot of history in these communities that you went to, because we also have the changeover from being, under the British, rule, right? So some of these areas went through independence from the British, and so you're going through colonialism basically, and you can still see it in things, right? Going
exactly. Yeah, especially in the areas that have forts. I mean, that's obviously where the British and French, because St. Lucia was actually, I think, owned by the British and the French. And so you still have a little bit of history of both countries, there. Also, I believe in Guadeloupe, which is it was a French territory. I think it still might be a French dependency of some kind. And so people do speak French there. So and it was it was quite an experience going there too. So
yeah, in Puerto Rico, obviously US, and so but we've got things like America Samoa, and that are all connected with our national parks. There's Guam. We've got parks in Guam, and so it's kind of interesting to go like another place.
Definitely.
And I'm still in the States, but I'm not,
I actually found the history of Puerto Rico quite fascinating. I mean, it was Spanish territory for the longest time, Spanish colony for the longest time. And we did go to the forts that were built there. There's actually two forts. The more famous one, of course, is called El Morro, and we didn't really walk around that one too much, but to have it, understand the kind of role that Puerto Rico played in the settlement of the Caribbean, with Spain, and then how, yes, it was taken over by the United States, and still remains a commonwealth to this day. Talking to the people there, though, I thought it was kind of interesting. It was it seems like a third of them wanted independence, a third of them wanted statehood, and a third of them wanted, to kind of just keep things the way they are. So I don't know what the future of Puerto Rico is going to be, but I think they're still trying to hash it out.
Yeah, I've watched so much on it and listened to interviews about that, and Samoa is like that too. It's kind of this interesting thing of what's going on, and it really depends on who you talk to. And then it's like, all right, we want you to be able to vote. There's that part too that gets interesting.
Right.
I remember watching Kamau Bell as a comedian, did a
Mhm.
series on CNN. I don't know if he's still doing United Shades of America, I think it is.
Mhm.
And he went to Puerto Rico, and I was watching about that, just and that's the thing when you travel, don't you want to find out what the locals are going through and what they want, when especially when it comes to tourism, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that the people in Puerto Rico do understand, the role that the United States has in their lives and, how I guess the standard of living does make things better to an extent, but and what would that standard living, how would it be affected if they were to be an independent country
Mm,
or if they were to be a state? I mean, I think they all have different outcomes
mm,
or different implications. So,
mm.
yeah.
Good conversations. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Lively ones, lively ones.
Oh
So
yeah. No, I'm sure if I got into a room full of Puerto Ricans, they would all be debating this, I'm sure.
I know, I know.
Probably.
So I want to go back on the ship. The what were the rooms like? Was it comfy? Are they spacious? Like how
Oh
many
yeah.
people? I mean, how big are these ships?
I would say they are about, I think because there's 4 ships, I mean, there's actually 3 that are currently sailing, and then there's one that's going to be going on its inaugural sailings in 2025. These ships hold anywhere from about 3,000 to 4,000 passengers. So they're not the mega ships like you would find with,
Mhm,
say, like a Royal Caribbean or
mhm.
some of these other ships that are that hold about 5,000 passengers. They're considered large ships, but I would say that they are kind of in that premium category of cruises. There's, of course, the mass market, the
Mhm.
Royal Caribbean type ships. There's premium, which is Virgin, Celebrity, Princess, and then you
Okay.
have luxury ships. And I would say that they are probably, squarely in that luxury ship category. So,
Okay. And
mhm,
then and so when you book your trip, since you're a travel advisor, I was gonna say,
mhm,
because I think you were
mhm.
talking about like, okay, there's a $300 bar tab and things like that. Is it
Uh-huh.
all
Yeah.
inclusive about your food, the gratuities? Because that's something
Oh yeah.
that the
Mhm.
gratuity thing can get weird because sometimes is it included on the excursions or not? Because I know, friends who went on some cruise and they didn't realize that the gratuities, because everything said gratuities included, was
Mhm.
not included on the excursions
They are not included on excursions. I don't think that
in
there's actually
general.
a cruise line that includes gratuities on
Okay.
excursions. And so,
Okay.
but on the cruise itself, gratuities are included. You never
Okay.
have to pay unless you want to. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think I even have attempted to, give an extra gratuity to like my cabin steward or a bartender, because I think sometimes they just say, "Oh, you don't need to do that." And so, but I think
Okay.
some people will still try. I mean, especially if they get
Mhm.
exceptional service.
Mhm.
But with Virgin, gratuities are included. You do get something that's called sailor loot, which with other cruise ships, it would be onboard credit. So you can use that to spend on, whatever you want to on the ship, basically. Anything that would be extra. There are some
Mhm.
things that are extra on board the ship. Some experiences like, say, I don't know, a whiskey tasting or something like that. I think those were extra. And so let me see what else. Of course, you do have Wi-Fi. They say that Wi-Fi is a basic human right. That's something that's straight from their
Yeah,
website, I think. And
that's
so,
funny.
but it is included for one device. I mean, if you wanted to do multiple devices, that's extra, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of a nice thing that a lot of these things are included into the price of the fare. And so
That's
I
nice.
think that's also what makes, Virgin Voyages quite popular with people now.
Mm.
I just have to say that when I, went on my first cruise with them, I went in 2021. Now they started right at the time of the pandemic,
Oh,
which
rough one.
was probably not great timing, but that's just
No.
what happened, unfortunately. And so they had their first sailings in 2021, and of course, at that time, people were still reluctant to go on cruise ships. And so the first cruise that I went on, the one to the Costa Maya and to Cozumel, I would say that the ship was probably only about 1/3 full. And so
Mm.
it was quite spacious, I'll say. And so, and hardly any people, of course. Now, the last cruise that I went on with them, which was the one to the Southern Caribbean, was almost at capacity. And so, yeah, quite different. But it was a really, I would say, all around just a great experience, whether it was 1/3 full or almost all full. So
Okay.
it just made it feel, fun all around. So a
That's
really enjoyable experience. So
That's cool. I mean, you went
Mhm.
all these different places and, and you got to have rum tastings. That's the
Yes,
key of,
you gotta
well,
love
I mean,
that, right?
you've got to. Well, I think
Yeah.
rum is so fascinating. Now I know that last time you were on the show, we were talking about Golden, Colorado, which is your
Mhm.
your neighborhood, right?
Right. Yep.
And you were going to go to the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association's conference. That's a big mouthful. IFWA.
Mhm.
That's why we say
Mhm.
IFWA. But you went to the conference in upstate New York. Did
Mhm.
you have fun? Was it good?
I did actually. We got to try wines from the Finger Lakes region, which I personally, I had kind of heard was a place where they grew grapes and made wine, but I did not know much about it. And I'm so glad that I went because it
Mm,
was just a surprise, a delightful surprise for me to discover
mm.
how great the wines are up there and the culinary scene, which is, I would say, one of my focuses, one of my niches.
Okay.
And so to find out about wines and food, the whole culinary scene that is in the Finger Lakes region was just a wonderful surprise. So
That's
and
cool.
discovery.
And a lot
So
of art and history there too.
exactly, yeah, and of
Hmm.
course we were in Corning, so um, uh, the focus of Corning has been the glass that
Mm.
the glass industry, I guess, or the factory that they had there. And of course, they have the museum, which we got
Mm.
to have a reception there and got to see glass blowing. And so
Oh wow.
also got to do a little art project made of glass. So mine wasn't that
Cool.
great, but
Well, that's why they have wine.
that's
You just,
right.
you just take a sip afterwards. That's all. It's all
Mhm.
good. Well, I was gonna
It's
say,
exactly.
I remember when Dave was on the show from upstate New
Mhm.
York, from Steuben, which is stupendous, in
Mhm.
Steuben, New York. I think that Corning made some of the very first light bulbs in
Yes.
history. That really, yeah,
Absolutely,
wow.
yeah. So yeah, it was really fascinating to learn the history of that whole area and of Corning.
Mm,
We also some of us, I know, I didn't get to go on any of the pre or post, but I know that there were a lot of people who got to see more of the Finger Lakes area
mm,
and got to see some of the surrounding area. And there was trips, I think, pre and post fam trips to Rochester,
mm.
to the Laurel Highlands in Pennsylvania, and I'm trying to think, oh, to Niagara Falls. And so, yeah, there's a lot to that region that I think, we who live, I think, west of the Mississippi did not don't
Yeah.
know much about. I mean, I didn't know that a lot of these regions existed, to be truthful. So,
Mm. That's
mhm,
that's awesome. And in the meantime, see again, here you are doing the business part of the conference, which is learning
mhm,
and networking and all of
yeah,
that, right? And
yep.
then you're drinking wine. So this is like here you are on the Virgin Voyages,
Right.
doing rum tastings,
Oh,
shaking
yeah.
for champagne, and doing business. So I see who you are.
Oh, no.
You're like, if I'm going to do business, I want some pleasure,
Yeah.
please. Hey, why
Well,
not? That's why
it's fun to
travel
learn about
rocks.
wines and different drinks and liquor and things like
Good
that. I
food.
mean, I've never been a person who had done that before, and so I mean, it's not an excuse to drink. It's
No.
actually there's so much to the pairings of, say, I would say even wine and beer and liquor,
Hmm.
with certain foods and how they enhance the
Hmm.
flavor of food. And so that's what I find the most interesting about it
And the
all.
backstory of who's growing the grapes, who's making the wine. I mean, it's agriculture, and it's
Definitely,
science. It's fascinating
definitely.
to me as well
Oh
of,
yeah. Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
when winemakers go out and create a winery, it's like, oh man,
Hmm.
that's like scary financially. You have to depend on the weather. It's a big
Hmm.
deal. So it's cool that you went to
Yeah.
do that. Now you're going to go to the next one that in 2025 is in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yes, I actually will. I actually had a personal connection to the rep who was from Lafayette, so I feel like I have to go to this. And she personally invited me. So, and I have never been to that part of the country before, and
Okay,
so
cool.
I absolutely want to go. So,
There's I was going to say there's a rummery.
oh
There's a
no, more rum.
no, I know. I don't think there is
Sorry.
such a thing as a rummery, but
A
again,
rummery.
I have my own
You mean
language.
a
A
rum
distillery,
distillery? I think
a
that's what it is.
distillery. Yes, it's
Yeah.
in. I think it's Homa.
Okay.
It is in Southwest Louisiana,
Right. Uh-huh.
between Lake Charles and Lafayette,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's really good. I mean,
Hmm.
phenomenal because they Louisiana grows sugar cane and also rice. And that's their
Hmm.
two of their big produce. Obviously seafood, and I know
Hmm.
you're going to get a lot of seafood there and crawfish, all that good stuff. But Lafayette, that whole boudin is a big deal. You'll be tasting boudin sausage and
Uh-huh.
all kinds
That
of
sounds
things.
good to
So
me.
and you're gonna have to trade in your shaking for champagne for stomping because they have Zydeco brunches. Like that to me
Ooh.
is I
Uh-huh.
want to go just for Zydeco brunch. Like, come
Yeah.
on, with a good Bloody Mary? Heck yeah, bring
Sound
it.
yeah. I'm
Well,
there. I,
everyone in
absolutely.
January normally is like, we're all behaving and eating our salad. I think we just ruined
Right.
everyone's New Year
I think so. I think so.
resolutions on this show today. We should next time we need to record this at a happy hour.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm all for
you know
that.
no, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're doing the conferences and having fun with them. Are they
I
education? I
am.
know you're having fun, but it educational too for the industry side.
I I think it is. I really do. I mean, I I do learn from the presentations, but I learn equally from the people who are there, who
Mm,
I believe have, much more experience in the travel writing field than I do. And so I'm always
mm,
just picking up on tips and tricks and their expertise and finding ways, to get more pitches accepted and, trying to go on press trips and basically just trying to find ways to, I think, build my business as a travel
mhm.
writer, travel content creator. So,
Awesome, awesome.
mhm.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
definitely,
it's been a
definitely.
happy hour for sure. We've been having a good time, everybody. Again, Sansei
Exactly.
traveler.com. The links are in the episode notes, especially for IFWTWA as well. Thank you all
Hmm.
for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Do stay tuned next month. We do have the board of directors of IFWTWA on the show talking about the conference and just, we like to chat with them and see what's going on with the organization because they're always doing webinars. They always have press trips for people. So if you're involved in the world of tourism, whether you're a winemaker, a cookbook author, you could be a photographer, a tour guide, this is definitely a place to connect with. And they really do a good job of networking. So thanks so much, Janice, and Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year to you. And thank you for having me on the show.
You bet.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show featuring members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We encourage you to visit their website. We say IFWTWA, which is IFWTWA.org. You can also follow us at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels, everyone!